Hi everyone, I'm Luke Hector and you're watching The Broken Meeple. This is a YouTube channel about board games where I give reviews, top 10s and my honest opinions, regardless of the consequences. We'll get on with the show in just a minute, but first a quick word from my sponsor. As a fellow gamer, you'll understand this is unacceptable. The solution? Head down to my new sponsor, KIENDA.co.uk. KIENDA stocks many of the hot new releases as well as some old hidden gems. Free delivery on orders over £30, further discounts on bulk purchases, and even 5% of your spending refunded back to you as points to be used for further discounts down the line. If you use the referral link in the description below and sign up for a new account, you'll get 5% discount on your first order over £60. So let's make gaps in your collection a thing of the past. Get down to KIENDA and start saving today. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the video.
Get on with it.
So welcome to my bumper episode. Yes, this is one of those emergency review episodes that I need to do every now and again, particularly for Essen. I came back from Essen with a lot of games, and then since then, I've had requests for other games to do. I am just a one-man band. There's only so much I can do, and we're getting on to December and Christmas time. I've got work Christmas dues, friend Christmas dues, people to see, family to see. I might even have most of my Christmas holiday used up by the family, by what's been arranged, so I don't quite have a lot of that time on my hands as we're getting up to Essen. I've already done a ton of content. This is a pile of games that I'm supposed to do individual reviews on, and I just physically can't.
Stop whining.
So, as you can see, I got a ton of games here. I got Scout, Canopy, Fantasy Realms Deluxe, World Exchangers, World Splitters, Solar Sphere, Episode 1 Vengeance, Roll and Fight, and that one. Oneironauts. I still cannot pronounce this one to save my life. It's like kind of weird title, but we'll gloss over that when I actually review it properly. So I'm just basically going to go through all of these games individually, give a brief overview and review of them, give a rating out of 10, and move on to the next one. So at least you get my opinion on all these games, both good and bad, and then I can, find time to get all the other really big stuff done as well.
Yes, get on with it.
So why don't we kick off with the unpronounceable Oneironauts or whatever, but basically this is from Alexander Nevsky and iGames. This is the same duo that gave me Detective Club. Detective Club sits over there as my favourite party game of all time. I love the Dixit card mechanic, and this one basically just, it gets me excited just because it's Dixit cards, but then I'm also like, okay, what more can you actually do with the Dixit card mechanic? I feel like we've kind of stretched out what you can physically do. Well, I thought I'd give this one a try anyway. So yes, I wish it wasn't in a tin box, but minor blemishes there. This is essentially a co-op. So it kind of in the same vein as Just One, in fact. Essentially, everybody is going into dreams and stuff. Whatever, the theme doesn't really matter in this game. It's mainly just having fun with the Dixit cards. What happens is that players are trying to gain 15 sheep. So it's tracked on a little counter here with this slightly weird looking sheep, but it's got little adorable stars on the moon in it, so whatever.
Dog, pig, dog, pig, dog, pig, pig, dog. Loaf of bread. System error.
What you're trying to do is get 15 of these before 6 cards end up on this track here. So here you have all the weird and wonderful Dixit cards. And yes, even though the backings are different, there's nothing stopping you from simply going, well, you know what, I'm going to use this set in Detective Club. Which, to be fair, is what I tend to do with a lot of my Dixit cards. I always like to mix and match the cards and get like a different feel for them. But essentially what you have is a bunch of clue words. So these clue words like love, star, way, travel, gift, predator, gourmet, whatever. Everybody has a hand of cards in there, a hand of these Dixit cards. And what happens is the clue word gets revealed. So for example, gourmet. Here's gourmet. Everybody will look through their hand and go, right, okay, which one best fits gourmet? Which best fits gourmet? You've seen this stuff before, haven't you? Now, as I look at my hand right now, I really have a pretty bad gourmet one here. Like, really bad selection for gourmet. But let's just say that for some reason I'm feeling a little bit sick and I decide that a collection of sheep is close enough to gourmet because of mutton. I don't know, but I put it in anyway. So I put that as my card face down. Everybody else around the table has also put in a bunch of cards. So let's just say we've got all these cards. One is then added randomly from the deck and they're all shuffled. They are better laid face down. But essentially what will happen is that all of these get shuffled. They get revealed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for example. And then players, without discussing, have to decide among themselves which one was the random card added to the deck. Which one was the odd one out. And so you're trying to obviously help each other by not putting out duff cards. But then as with Dixit, yeah, you don't always have the best card for the situation. So you look at the situation, you go, right, okay, I reckon it was this card, and if more people get it, then, you know, you get the sheep track, but obviously if people get it wrong, it starts going on here. So it's a case of get it right rather than wrong. But the cool thing with this is that it promotes a lot of discussion after the round is done. So people are sort of going, so why did you put that card in? Why did you put that card in? It's like, wait a minute, dude, you put that one in? Why? You know, so you get a lot of this pointing the finger at each other, like, you say, you put in a duff card, explain yourself, which is not actually in the rules, but people just do it naturally with Dixit cards, which is one reason why I love it, because it's all different interpretations. But that's essentially the crux of the game. You do round after round until one of these conditions is met, loss or win. You don't even have to really keep score. You could literally just do it as a random just one variant, really. I mean, just one. How many people play that as a scorekeeping variant? They don't really. I don't play the 13 cards or whatever. I just play it until people get bored. Here, you could do the exact same thing. You know what? We're just going to mess around with this for a bit. Fine. Let's just go through a few key cards. We'll just do it, have a bit of a laugh. Oh, we're ready to start the game? Right, boom, pack it away and we're done. If you want to keep score, then great. It's a co-op. People don't need to feel like there's a negative view or anything like that, or people sort of trying to screw each other over. But you honestly don't have to play it like a full co-op. You can kind of just play this how you like, and it's just a nice, charming game. And that's kind of all it is, really. It's not going to blow the doors off like, say, Dixit or Detective Club did or anything like that. And even then, I argue that Detective Club's underrated. But much like when Dixit Stellar came out. I like Dixit Stellar and it's still on my shelf downstairs, but it's nice. It's another Dixit game. I'll play it, I own it, but it's not like it's, oh, this is the new fantastic Dixit. This is kind of the same thing. It's not a replacement for Just One. This one is essentially, you know, I mean, it's different enough from Just One. It's just that kind of similar feel, really. But it's another game in the Dixit lineup. It's perfectly nice, perfectly charming. I've now got a wad of new, interesting Dixit cards, because, I mean, they're trying to be sort of dreamlike with these ones, so there's a bit more of a kind of a fantastical, not kind of anime-esque, but you know, you're talking like old 2D animation style for some of these ideas, you know, nothing too creepy and such. I would happily try to use these in the Detective Club game and see what happens. But yeah, it's nice, it's charming, 7 out of 10. It's good, gets the job done. It's nothing special, but if you're a fan of this mechanic and you want a co-op version, this is a good one to go for.
I admire its purity.
So while we're on the subject of beautiful stuff, why don't we move on to Canopy. This is from Tim Eisner, artist by Vincent Dutrait, and this is not the newest game in the world. In fact, I think this came out 2020, 2021. It was definitely a year or two ago. 2021 apparently. And I just never got round to playing this. Despite the fact that I love nature themes, I'm a sucker for good artwork, and you know what? Little tiny card games and that don't get talked about a lot, I want to play more of these because I think they're really cool. The only thing that put me off this is because I heard that this was primarily a 2-player game and the 3 and 4-player was a variant. It's like, 2-player only, I don't know if I want to play it. But as I say, Tim's given me a copy of this and I decided to give it a look. Played it at Essen a few times and played it at home since, both solo and with the variants. But what Canopy basically is one of those style of card games where you're choosing from a pile of cards and it's got stuff you want, but also junk. Essentially what will happen is that you'll have some, let's see, there's a lot of reference aids for various variants in here, which is one sort of negative about this game. It's kind of like, pick one to go with, you know, don't give me 3 ways to play the game, give me 1 way to play the game that works. But essentially what will happen is you'll have these cards which represent things like trees and animals and flora and, you know, some negative effects like disease and fire. And my God, the artwork on this is so beautiful. It's unreal.
You good looking. You're hot.
Essentially what will happen is you are trying to get these cards in front of you. So you'll have trees that you'll grow with the tree trunk cards. And as a result of doing that, you'll basically add to the point value of the tree and then eventually cap it off with a card that acts as a multiplier. So you can basically make a really good value tree. There's also some end round bonuses for tallest tree. But you're also collecting things like the poison dart frog, which are animals which give you a special ability as well as some points. You collect things like maybe a toucan, which gives you points for having 1 of them, but if you can get 2 of them, they're worth 5 points. Sun and moon cards that sun and rain cards that like to be paired off with each other. There's flowers like the fern, for example. Get 1 of them, 2 points. 2 of them, 0 points. 3 of them, 6 points. You know, it goes up and down. It's got like a sort of Sushi Go type feel with the way that some of these things score. But what will happen is that you'll have cards, let's see, these aren't necessarily the reference cards I would use, but we'll just go with it. And so what will happen is that these cards will build up in piles underneath here. And so you'll have a display of cards and a tableau, but then what you'll do is that you'll go, right, I'm going to have a look at this pile here. Ugh, I like that, but I hate these. I don't want any fires and that in my hand. All right, fine, I'm going to pass on that. One card gets added to make it a bit more desirable. You then look at the next one. Ugh, that's even worse, don't like that. Right, okay, do the next one. Oh, I quite like this one, and so you play the cards from there. So I've got a bunch of Bromelia in here, so it's like, oh yeah, fantastic. I definitely want to play these cards. Fantastic. I got a Rain, doesn't do anything for me right now, whatever. But then, for example, that could have easily been something like a Fire or Disease, which is, a bad card to pick up potentially. But it might be like, well, if I take both of these, then the Rain gives me those points. The Disease could be a problem, but I can handle one Disease. I just don't want too many. It's that kind of choice of looking at the decks and deciding, right, okay, I want some of that, I don't want all of it, but am I tempted enough to grab it? Because if I add more cards to it, then my opponent is going to want to take it. And it's that sort of back and forth of manipulating and grabbing these piles. But as the game goes on through multiple rounds, you'll run out the deck, you'll go through again, and you're essentially just trying to get points from collating these cards in front of you. The game itself is a really neat two-player game. I mean, that's not the best way to explain it, and I can't explain every single variant's rules. I mean, the solo mode just basically has like a kind of semi-automata, like, populate and take cards away from you, so the solo mode works pretty well. The 3 and 4 player variant is fine, but it's a little confusing when you've got the players in between you and then you've got these decks all over the place and you're manipulating them all. It's fine. The 3 to 4 player variant works, but you can tell that it wasn't really designed at 3 and 4 players in mind. It's fine. It's not bad. But I wouldn't buy Canopy with the expectation that you're going to play this 3 and 4 player all the time, because I think it's good, but not great in that sense. I think this is primarily a solo and 2-player game. I enjoyed playing this solo. It's a nice, pleasant little game that's not too hard to pilot, and 2-player is fantastic. I mean, 2-player is definitely the highlight for this game, and I've really enjoyed all my plays of it. You can even spice it up with some advanced cards. So you've got these ones that I've mentioned, like Sun, Rain, and Bromelia, but then you've got, Lightning, Orchids, Lanas, whatever they are, Jaguars, Homo Ants, Pygmy Marmoset, and then this card. I actually don't want to show it because it's too bad. Little note here, publishers. There is a thing in the world, okay? It is the most popular fear of all time, okay? Stop putting it in your games, alright? Spiders are problematic for me, alright?
Hi.
Hello.
They are the most common fear in the world. It's called arachnophobia. If you've never heard of it, then seriously, get a dictionary or get an encyclopedia out and learn it. Or just go Google. Yeah, why am I talking like I'm 60 years old? But come on. There's a card in here called, I don't even want to show the picture. Even the iconography is bad. I don't like it. The Goliath Bird Eater. Do I really want this giant tarantula on a card? I mean, thankfully it's only 2 of them and I can just simply take them out the deck and never play with them or burn them or trash them, whatever. But it's just like, seriously, stop putting spiders in your games, people.
Oops.
But as I say, I digress. You can get advanced, different cards with more complex abilities to spice the game up if you think the basic version is too simple for you. I mean, the basic version is perfect to teach people the game, and then once they're comfortable with it, you throw in the advanced stuff and you don't really look back. But everything looks gorgeous. Even the freaking spider looks like it's a close-up of a tarantula, okay? It's beautifully rendered in artwork. It's still a giant tarantula, okay? But, gotta get distracted by that. But everything else on here, I mean, even a fern. Ferns aren't, it's a green leaf. It's a plant, whatever. But Vincent Dutrait manages to make these ferns look absolutely angelic. This is some of his best artwork I've ever seen. In fact, some of these pictures you'd almost think were a photograph with a filter on it. They are that good. This is one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. It is that good. Now, beauty's not everything. The game has to be good as well, and I think the game is solid. You've got multiple ways to score points. You've got the plants, the animals, you've got the sun and rain, you've got going for the trees. You might just ignore the trees. You know what? I don't need to score highly for the trees. I'm collecting all the other stuff, but then that might be your focus. Like, I'm going to build the tallest trees every round and get the point bonuses for having the best trees and that. There's a lot of different ways that you can score points, especially when you throw in the advanced cards. And I think this game is solid. It's a great 2-player game. Great solo game, just not as good in 3 and 4. So it's kind of a 7 out of 10 for me in terms of a 3 and 4 player game. But when you put this up to solo and 2 player, this is a 9 out of 10. This is a distinction level card game for solo and 2 players, particularly 2 players. If this is your primary way of playing these little card games, just 2 of you, you and your spouse, then you need to grab this. I highly, highly recommend Canopy.
Shut up and take my money!
Alright, next up we have Fantasy Realms Deluxe. There's not a lot to say about this one because if you've played Fantasy Realms, well then you've played this. The main thing about this is that it includes the expansions that have come out in the past and it's got better artwork and sleeves. That's essentially what the Deluxe Edition is. It's the same game. But WizKids have basically put out this fancy version, which as you can see is bigger than the previous one in terms of box size, but it's still not huge, and you're paying a good £30+ for this, so it's not the cheapest card game, especially for given the fact that it's a 20-minute card game. It's not the cheapest one to buy, but Fantasy Realms look like garbage. Let's be honest. You know, it was a great little card game, but it's like it looked horrible. It was boring and bland and bleh.
It does look like she was beaten with an ugly stick.
So you've got good little storage insert. You've got a fantastic score pad for this. Now granted, why don't you just use the web browser app? I don't know, but if you want to do it by pen and paper, this score pad is fantastic for just going through your individual cards, as well as a couple of expansion ones, and, you know, scoring them up individually. Really, really nice score pad in there for a kickoff. It gives you custom sleeves. So I've got a few spare here, but these sleeves are lovely. I mean, you probably won't be able to see these that well on the camera, but you've got these very thick premium style sleeves for every card in this game. Man, it's pretty. But then even the artwork in the game has been stepped up a notch. You know, the artwork in this is light years better than what it used to be. Now, I'm not saying the artwork is fantastic generally. It's, you know, it's still fairly basic artwork. There's nothing to write home about here, and it's certainly a particular style, but at least when you see like an elven longbow, it looks like a proper decent looking longbow. At least when you see a magic wand, it looks like something out of a Don Blue film or whatever, you know. And as when you see a phoenix or a dragon or something, it actually looks like the thing it's trying to portray, and it's got very easy graphic design with the text. So for example, you know, bonus +28 with swamp. It's in bold text, I can easily see what this thing does. But then something like the beast, dragon, penalty -40 unless with at least 1 wizard. Okay, the wizard, it's in pink, bold text. The color of the suit, it's bold, I can see it, and as soon as I see a pink card I go, that's a wizard. You know, it's nice and easy to distinguish. So for those of you not au fait with what Fantasy Realms is, well, the rules are literally explained on a page. I'm not kidding, 1 page. There's your rules for the game. This is so dirt simple to learn, it's unreal. You've got some keyword definitions there, but if you've played any card game ever, you'll work out what the difference of for each and with is. You know, this isn't so much I need to understand how the ability works, it's more I need to understand English. Which granted, if it's not your first language, I can understand you'll want to pay attention to this, but even then, I think it'd be pretty easy to understand how these cards work. The rest is scoring examples and some expansion elements, which are basically some special powers you can obtain and a couple of extra suits. They're cool to throw in the game, but they're not mandatory inclusions, particularly for your first teaching game. But this is basically the game in a nutshell, okay? I have a hand of 7 cards. I must draw a card. First player must do it from the deck. I then must discard a card. And then the next player can draw from the discard pile or from the deck. You know what? I like this card. Dunk. Next player. Carry on until there's 10 cards in the discard pile, and then total up the points from the cards that are left in your hand. That is literally the game. It sounds like the most boring thing ever when I explain it like that, but that's how simple this game is. It is so dirt simple. But it's actually just a good fun filler. The idea that you're trying to build synergies with the cards in your hand, and people are offering stuff out on the table which makes you think, well, if you're chucking these away then you're not collecting them, so maybe I should collect them. But then there's obviously a bit of a luck of the draw factor, but this is a 20-minute filler. What do you expect from a 20-minute filler? But it's just fun when you're trying to build up these really funky little combos. I mean, the basilisk here, penalty, blanks all armies, leaders, and other beasts. Right, so it's a 35-point card. That's pretty high for a card. But then I know that I can't collect any armies, leaders, or beasts. Because if I do, they're all blank. They're all 0. So I look at my hand and I go, well, hang on a minute. Let's see, what have I got? Let's see, I've got land, weapon. I got a Hydra here. Hydra, +28 with swamp. Well, I haven't got a swamp, and I can't see a swamp anywhere, so you know what? Alright, fine. Bye-bye, Hydra. I'm going to keep this Basilisk. Now, I better make certain I don't pick up any of those. You know, so it's just creating these really cool combos with the cards, and there are some weird ones in here when you get into like the wild suit, but also when you throw in those 2 or 3 expansion suits for undead and that. There's some more funky stuff, but if you throw in the new suits, all you do is play with 8 cards rather than 7. That's pretty much the only rule change. It gets a little bit more complex when you start throwing in these, you know, special items, the Cursed Horde, like, you know, Black Backpack, Blindfold, Book of Prophecy, Cauldron, Crystal Ball, and Crystal Lens. Basically, you grab these as the game goes on. They're worth negative points because they're effectively cursed items, but they give you some cool special power to use, so they could still be worth it. But, as I say, I only throw those in now and again if people are familiar with the game. I'll usually throw in the extra suits all the time, frankly, because more variety is good. But the game itself is just a fun 20-minute filler. And you could argue, well, yeah, why don't I just buy the original little box? You still can. You still can get hold of that, I believe. But it is, you know, the advantages of the other one is that it's cheaper and it's more portable. But man, does it look ugly. You've got to sleeve it yourself. I'm not even convinced they fit in the box. But, you know, you've got to put in your own effort to try and make it look less ugly. This, though, just looks gorgeous. A great score pad, if you're not using the app, that is. But then you've also got those sleeves. You've got the, you know, the cards themselves are much better quality, the card and the artwork. And the rulebook is very good. It's got, you know, the different suits on the back. It's got everything clearly explained. It's a very nice rulebook. It's just a really good, solid package. Now, you obviously have to be prepared to pay the price tag for this. You know, it's going to be at least about 30 quid plus to buy this. It is a deluxe edition after all. But this is the one I'm keeping. You know, granted, I got given this as a review copy, so, you know, take that as with a pinch of salt. But if I had a choice between buying this version and the other one, I'd buy this version, frankly. You know, it's more money, but it's still not the biggest box in the world. I can still take it to any game night. It'll fit in the bag just fine. But I really enjoy this game. It's a great filler. I think I only came across it probably last year, I think. Yeah, I think it was only last year that I got introduced to this game, but the fact that there's now this funky version, which looks gorgeous and I don't have to buy extra sleeves for, it's solid. It's still solid. Fantasy Realms for me overall is a, I don't know. It was originally an 8, but can it go up to a 9 with this one? With this new look, I think if you are prepared, well, it's a luck of the draw game, but it's just a filler. I don't know. It's still up that price tag, but it is nice. You know what? I'm going to bump this one up to a 9 out of 10, I think. I think this one does actually deserve that seal of distinction because it was already an 8. I still really thought that this was a great filler. I just wished it looked less garbagey. Well, now it does. You have to accept that there is a bit of a price tag in association with that, but for the quality of this box and everything else that's inside it, if you're willing to spend that bit of extra cash, you're getting a top quality looking product of a really good, well-tested, well-liked, little filler game. I really enjoyed this one. Fantasy Realms Deluxe in the